정상빈!
Oh, they scored! It's Grant who's got the goal! From the free kick, and we're heading for extra time now, surely.
Flamingo! It is 2-0, and that now surely seals the K-League title for John McVinney Motors.
You're listening to the K-League United podcast, proud partner of Football Nation Radio.
Hello, annyeonghaseyo. Welcome to the 2022 World Cup edition of the K-League United podcast. I'm your host for today, Matthew Binns, and I am joined on today's live episode with K-League United columnist Michael Redmond. How you doing, Michael?
Hello, yes, thank you for inviting me once again to the show. I'm feeling very, very inspired, full of World Cup fever. It all started on a Monday morning Korean time with Morgan Freeman's performance. Truly inspiring. And obviously, how could you forget Jungkook from BTS as well? He's putting us in our dreams. If anyone knows the World Cup song, you know what I mean by that. But yeah, I'm in full World Cup mode at the moment. Those who can see visually, the Leopard's Den's out. I've moved. I'm now in the Harangi house.
The Harangi house, I like that. What is the viewing setup in the Harangi house, Michael? How are you taking these matches in?
So what I've done is obviously all the Sol Elon flags and shirts which hung up in my wardrobe 24/7. They've been taken down. I've got this. I don't know which way my hand's going. I've got the 2022 away shirt to the right of me. I've got the one from a few years back to the left of me. I've got the 2018 home kit on me at the moment. Captain Korea, you might as well call me at the moment. Cheering on Korea for the game, which will be on Thursday night.
Oh, very well, very nice, very enthusiastic. I haven't got my shirt on for this. Obviously, saving it for Thursday night, as you mentioned. But yeah, should have been four of us today. We should also say, but seasoned veteran Paul Neat and promising newcomer Kim Tae-hung, who is set to make his full pod debut. They've both suffered injuries at the training camp in the lead up to today's episode. Paul has likened it to being like France with Benzema, and we're not calling for a backup. I'm not sure who he's referring to as Benzema in this. But yeah, the news criminally underreported by Korean football media. But we've gathered from a Twitter post that Paul is on the Lemsip, and KLU sources are telling us that he'll be hoping to get minutes on a pod later in the tournament. Also, as mentioned, this episode is live and we are currently trying to squeeze it in between group matches elsewhere so as not to interrupt any games for our listeners, and also to let us get back to watching the rest of it unfold, because there has been there has been a result today, Michael. We're going to be talking about it very soon, though. Speaking of matches, Michael, we are 5 games into the World Cup at time of recording. Which team or player has caught your attention so far?
Well, I think it's quite obvious the one that stands out at the moment. England were very impressive last night. For me personally, as a Manchester United fan, I saw Marcus Rashford goal, and we saw assists from Harry Maguire as well as Luke Shaw. Do you know, for Manchester United, they're still in the rebuilding stage, but it makes you feel great that on the world stage, our players are still setting up the game alight. So for me, that's personally how that's impressed me the most. But how about yourself, Matthew?
I mean, I have to say that England performance was sensational. Yeah, it ran on. They're not easy opposition, despite what people on Twitter will have you believe. I feel that England just really turned it on. And all those players you've mentioned there, I thought Maguire had a very good game. Rashford, only a few touches to get that goal. Saka was fantastic. But so I've had to choose a different team here, I think, just to balance things out. I've actually gone for the hosts, Qatar, but it's not a good surprise. It's surprising given their showings in the Asian Cup a couple of years ago. Yeah, but turns out suspending your season to give more time to play together doesn't always help. Not every host team can be 2002 Korea after all. But seriously, they seem caught off guard by the occasion somewhat. I suppose nothing quite prepares you for a tournament this size, but they became the first hosts ever to lose an opener in the process. But yeah, more on that now, though, because we're going to run through the results so far in this World Cup. So we are recording on a Tuesday at 9 p.m. Korean time, it should be said, when we were going through these. So in Group A, as mentioned, Qatar lost their opening match 2-0 to Ecuador, 2 goals from Enner Valencia, a penalty in the 16th minute, and then a goal at the stroke of half-time. He did also have a goal disallowed on 3 minutes, and a bit of controversy over this one, but the call was correct ultimately in the end. The game also saw fans leaving after half-time with the performance on display. And then elsewhere in Group A, Senegal lost 2-0 to the Netherlands. The Dutch left it late to find the winners here, with Cody Gakpo finding the back of the net in the 84th minute with a header, and then David Klaassen in the 99th minute with a shot that the keeper got a hand to, but couldn't do enough to keep it out. How about Group B, Michael?
Well, Group B started yesterday with Iran 2 and England 6. So England with just the 6 goals in their opening game this time. The major talking point of the half, apart from the goals themselves, was the injury to the Iran goalkeeper quite early on in the game. It caused a lot of injury time. And to be honest, you might think, well, the substitute goalkeepers come in, but it wasn't an excuse for the goals that conceded. They lapsed in defence, really, Iran, and England's brilliance. I want to mention Saka's second goal for especially. It was just the goals that England took were just exceptional. The Bellingham's header as well. Deserved winners, and if anything, it could have been even more at that point. Goals from Bellingham, Bukayo Saka, he scored a brace. Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford, and Jack Grealish. Iran's Mehdi Termi with 2 well taken shots as well to pull them back. Just the 2 goals might come back in handy at the end of the third game. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
But elsewhere, well, same group, USA 1, Wales 1. Now, Gareth Bale saved Wales really with a late penalty in the game. Initially, it had gone behind Wales with a first half effort from Timothy Wee. Now, Wales, this is their first time in the World Cup since 1958.
Mm-hmm.
To grab a point, it might fill them with a bit of confidence to go in to get a result against Iran in the next game. And if they do get a result against Iran in the next game, which after watching England they might feel like they could, then it could be winner take all between England and Wales in the last game of the group stage. So, interesting times ahead now if they can get a result in Iran and England can do a number on the United States.
Gareth Southgate might find his team in a position like in the last World Cup where he comes into the third game and, depending on the results elsewhere, might not be wanting to win that one, or might be playing a weaker team. So it could actually favour Wales, perhaps. Who knows? And finally, well, Group C kicked off today. There has been 1 match played before we went live, Michael, and what a match it was.
Yeah, it was just the standard run of the mill of Saudi Arabia beating Argentina 2-1. Obviously, we were taking notes just before the game, and I was just frantically messaging you Saudi Arabia have just equalised in the game. So let me break down what's happened. In the first half, Argentina went ahead on a penalty, a VAR decision. Now, Argentina had the ball in the back of the net 4 times in that first half, and 3 of them were called off for offside. So obviously, I can still hear the referee's whistle in my ear of offside, offside, offside. Then in the second half, what happened? 5 minutes, 6 minutes of absolute Saudi Arabian dominance. It started in the 48th minute with Salah Al-Sahri. He scored to equalise for Saudi Arabia. And then an absolute peach of a goal followed there 4 minutes later. Salah Darcy. They're on cloud 9 at the minute, Saudi Arabia, and they should be celebrating because it shows the lack of composure, what a lack of composure can do in a game. 5 minutes, Argentina just weren't in the game. And there you go. They've now got the first loss. They've now got a loss where they're thinking, well, that's probably one of the easiest games in the groups. So our first World Cup upset, I'd say, really, that happened just then.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a bit annoying because I've actually got Argentina in the pool at work, but still a fantastic result, and always great to see these kind of cup sets, if you like. But a fantastic performance, really, from Saudi Arabia to turn that one around. However, we're not here to review what's going on elsewhere in the World Cup. I'm sure you can get that information on other podcasts. We're here to talk about Korea, and namely their opener against Uruguay, which kicks off this Thursday at 10 p.m. Korean time. You can read Branko Bland's full in-depth preview on our site now. But we're just going to first overview some of the key areas for Korea, and then we're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to shift our attention to the opposition. So, Michael, before we begin, run us through the history between Korea and Uruguay.
Yes, so out of the 6 meetings, Uruguay have actually won 5 of those. So favour slightly tipping on Uruguay's side with that. They had 2 meetings in the World Cup, with the last one being in the South African World Cup in 2010, round of 16. Now, Uruguay did go through with that game, and obviously they went to play in the 3rd place playoff in 2010. They ended up 4th. They had a reasonably good tournament, but they knocked Korea out on the stage of doing that. However, the last time these 2 teams have met was in a 2018 friendly, and Korea were the ones who came out the victors 2-1. Goals from Hwang Hee-jo and Jung Woo-young. And obviously it was the first game for Bento in his career.
One of the first.
One of the first games. I don't think
it was the first.
So he there and around in the debut area, we'll call it. But yeah, so you could say he knows how to beat this team, but obviously we know friendlies and World Cups are 2 different kettles of fish, aren't they? So yeah, it's long overdue Korea getting a result against Uruguay in the competitive competition,
Yeah.
2 times in the World Cup before, maybe 3rd time lucky.
Well, they certainly be hoping so. Unfortunately, there are a couple of injuries and doubts coming into this. So obviously, the one everybody's keeping their eyes on is Son Heung-min. He's still doubtful, not training properly with the team at the moment, but he's adamant he's going to be playing at some point. But Paolo Bento and the Korean coaching staff all trying to get him ready for this match. I think he will feature in some capacity. I'm still not sure whether he's going to be ready to start, but only time will tell. They're keeping those cards close to the chest. There's also injury doubts surrounding Hwang Hee-chan and Kim Jin-soo, reduced amount of training, and looking a bit doubtful for this one. So they're the 3 concerns for Korea going into this. What that means then, the potential replacements in case these players don't play. If Son Heung-min doesn't start, it seems the likely candidate for me would be Song Min-kyu. Bento has preferred him recent, and he has been utilised as an understudy in that role, as mentioned in our previous podcast. Kim Jin-soo would probably be replaced by Hong Chol, although FC Seoul's Yoon Jong-gyu has been deployed there under Bento. I think he'd probably stick with a like-for-like, though, and go for Hong Chol. And Hwang Hee-chan could be replaced by Kwon Chang-hun. The other alternatives would probably include Lee Jae-sung or Na Sang-ho for that position. So if we're talking formation, then well, it'd be bold for Bento to go for the 3-4-3, but he has been teasing it, and he may feel like his hands are tied if Kim Jin-soo is out. Hong Chol is a good defender, but he might be better off playing to his attacking strengths, and thus playing the 3-back and perhaps having 2 defensive midfielders sitting in front of that back 3. Bento does prefer a 4-2-3-1 though, and it just seems most likely he's going to go for that here. Up top, though, this is a point of contention. We touched on it last week, but Michael, Hwang Hee-jo or Cho Kyu-sung, who's starting up top for Korea?
I favour Hwang Hee-jo for this one. Looking at his stats, looking at him in the team, he's had a lot more experience playing for the national team. He's also had a lot more experience playing for the national team in the World Cup as well. Now, Cho Gae-sung's still under 20 caps at the moment. Now, we have mentioned that, he played for Kim Chon the year prior. Well, still technically the same calendar year. And he was a great player, but he didn't exactly set the world alight. Obviously, they got relegated to the K-League too. I just think Hwang Hee-jo, I think he's going to get the nod ahead of that. However, a point I do want to make, in the last World Cup, Korea, they started Jo Hyun-woo, the goalkeeper, and I remember everyone when that lineup first came out, and was like, why have they started him in between the sticks? And then it all came out. They had a fantastic tournament, and maybe the same thing could happen here with Cho Gae-sung. And maybe even somebody else could come up there that would completely surprise us on Thursday when the lineups come out.
Yeah, I've obviously kept an eye on Cho Kyu-sung during his time at Jeonbuk this season, and I've also liked what I've seen in the national team. I really would like him to start, but I think I agree with you there. I think Hwang Ui-jo is the tried and trusted. I think Bento's not going to stray too far away from a known 11, especially if he's got injury doubts over his preferred choices elsewhere on the pitch. But yet, looking away from the potential absentees, what areas look particularly strong for you? I'll start with you, Michael, and then I'll give you what I think.
Well, in saying that, just mentioned, they do seem to have options up top if they are fit. You know, if Hwang Ui-chan is fit, if Son Heung-min is fit, they do have options going to the other end in the field. Now, if they are all fit and all able to play, it kind of does change tactics of Bento. Things aren't exactly going his way. Maybe bring on a player who, you know what I mean? Maybe a player's not really cutting what he asked him to do during the game, or maybe just want to, as I said before, change up something. I feel like they're has a few options up front to do so.
Yeah, I can see that. I think again, I don't want to read too much into the Iceland game because it wasn't including many of the players from Europe, but I did like the way that that Son Min-kyu cut into form a front two effectively with Cho Kyu-sung, and the way Kwon Chang-hun moved in more into a attacking midfield role from the right. I think we could see something like that if all of those players we've mentioned are unavailable. So yeah, I do think that is a strength. The alternative options there. I've personally picked out the centre back and defensive midfield. I think well, you don't need to say much about Kim Min-jae, but yeah, I think the defensive midfield with Jung Yoo-young and my preference Son Jun-ho, but Son Jun-ho with Hwang In-bom perhaps in front. But even if Hwang In-bom is playing in that central role, I think Korea's most consistent players are in this area of the pitch. Obviously, Uruguay is going to offer them more of a test than they've been used to in recent qualifiers. But yeah, I think that's perhaps Korea's strongest area going into this. So I guess we've talked about strengths there, weaknesses. Michael, anything you're particularly concerned about?
Well, I think it's something that you said, the defence, you know, with Kim Min-jae is fantastic, but then obviously there's also the option of some players being injured at the back. So also, is Bento experimenting with playing free at the back, or is he kind of forced to do so? Now, as you said, we've seen it in the Iceland game, playing free at the back. Okay, friendly game, you're testing things for World Cup. A team like Uruguay, which we'll get on to, very risky to play free at back against a team like Uruguay. So looking at the back is something that might raise some questions for people.
Yeah, true. I think as well, one area, and it's kind of sneaking into the adversary here, which we're going to be talking about after the break, but there is some injury news for Uruguay. The centre-back, Ronaldo Araujo, is injured. That's going to 4-4-2 anyway. He's expected to miss the first two group matches, which, if so, that means there's a perhaps a point of weakness if he was considered as a starter, because normally you could have the pace of Son Heung-min and Hwang Ui-chan to kind of run at that and try and tear open that little void. But if you haven't got those players, the players behind them in the pecking order aren't exactly slouches, but you kind of you want your best players anyway, but you're not going to get many opportunities to expose what are quote unquote better sides. And not having those two, if they're not available, or even if they're just not 100% fit, I think that could really be a weakness for Korea there. But who to watch? Who are you keeping your eyes on in this match, Michael?
I think it's obviously, no matter what podcast I do, I'll always try to go back to the K-League too. Hwang In-bom. Paul Neat will be listening now going, good man, Michael. But obviously, he had a career in different countries around the world, playing the MLS, played in Russia, he played in a lot of different places. He started his career off at Daejeon, didn't he? But not talk about the past, let's talk about now with him. He's 26 years old. And he's at an age now where if he has a good game against Uruguay and he's, has a great tournament, he'd be turning a lot of heads.
Mhm.
Now, looking at him in his last few games for Korea, he wasn't in the Iceland fixture, but he's played like 90 minutes for Bento. So Bento seems to be liking his play. So I think he's one that you should keep an eye out for, especially those who don't really know the national team so much. Keep an eye on Hanging Bomb in this competition.
Yeah, definitely. That's just incredible talent. Lots of potential there. It'd be great for him to finally deliver on that in a World Cup. I mean, I said a player picked Kim Jin-soo in the overall squad analysis last week, but for this match, I think I've got to pick. I'm going to pick Kim Min-jae. It seems obvious, seems really obvious, but I think if Korea are going to get through this group, they're going to have to be able to defend well, and well, yeah, you don't get much better in defence than Kim Min-jae at present, and the form he's been in for Napoli and things. Still not quite on everybody's radar, though. Still a lot of people not quite familiar with his name. And again, speaking of a platform to really advertise yourself, this could be a massive tournament for Kim Min-jae if he's able to show some of the skills he's shown countless times in over his career and hold out some of the world's elite players. So yeah, for me, Kim Min-jae, I really hope he can now step up to what's easily one of the biggest competitions he will have featured in. But I think that's it really for Korea. Again, you can read more in Branko Balan's preview on KLeagueUnited.com. Right now, we are going to take a short break, and then after the break, Michael, I'm going to be quizzing you on the adversary. So don't go anywhere.
FNR is a revolutionary football-dedicated digital platform, the first of its kind in Australia. It provides a 24/7 live online radio platform experience, podcast hub, and acts as a content provider for TV, radio, and digital. Having reached millions of listeners and football fans since launching, FNR is accessible worldwide via its website or app, providing a platform to discuss, debate, and celebrate the world game. We are your voice of football, FNR Football Nation Radio.
Welcome back to the K-League United podcast. With me, Matthew Binns and Michael Redmond. Before the break, we took a look at Korea coming into this match with Uruguay. Now we shift our attention to Uruguay. Before we do so, though, again, quick bit of injury news, and that was, as alluded to, Ronaldo Araujo injured. I should practice the names before you come on, Matthew. But yes, he's expected to miss the first two group matches. That's a bit of team news there. But to take us through the opposition in more detail, Michael currently has a long form article on the side. This is on KLeagueUnited.com, and this is to accompany the preview. Therefore, Michael, I'm going to quiz you on your thoughts on this team. How did they get here?
Yes, so Uruguay, they finished third in the South American CONMEBOL qualifiers. With regards to the CONMEBOL qualifiers, each team plays each other 2 times, so it's quite a long table, one big table, and they managed to finish third in it, which is still an automatic qualifying spot. Now, out of the 18 games that they played, 18 games in the qualifiers, they managed 8 wins, 4 draws, and then 6 losses. They were just clear by 4 points, really. Now, you might go, oh, they're clear, though. Ahead of them were Argentina and then Brazil. Argentina finished on 39 points and Brazil on 45. So that already shows like a difference between 26 and 39, 13-point swing. But they've gotten the flight. They're in Qatar right now, and obviously we'll see on Thursday what to be like. So they etched it. Didn't etch it in the CONMEBOL, but they got in.
Yeah, and well, how did they get it? What were we expecting, really, playing wise? I should say.
Well, they throughout the qualifiers, from looking at them, they play like a 4-2-2-2 formation, and what they do is they're passing the ball depending on how long the other team has the ball. So if the team they're playing with is playing like slow, long build up, they'll try and hit them as quick as possible. Now, what you'll notice from Uruguay on Thursday is they cover each other going forward, like a defender will go forward and a midfielder will track back, or a striker will go into midfield and a midfield will go back. It's quite versatile in the way they're playing. They're constantly trying to pass the ball forward vertically instead of like passing it along the wings, along the horizontally to each other. They just push the tempo of the game, and they're not really a side that want possession. They're kind of, I don't need to phrase that correctly. They just want to try and get it up as quick as possible and use the talent they've got, and basically just have versatile plays in doing so. So you could end up seeing like full centre backs, I mean, very high up the pitch at one point during this game on Thursday.
Something Korea might hope to expose on the counter then. But key players, Michael, who are we keeping an eye out for here?
Well, Uruguay, it's a team full of exceptional forwards in like Edison Cavani, as well as Darwin Núñez, who plays some team in England, as well as but it kind of has to still go for Luis Suarez. Even at his age, he's still a very vital player. He's been an exceptional player for Uruguay. He's been an exceptional player for Barcelona, for Liverpool, for all the teams he's kind of played. He's a seasonal winner, really. I think Suarez it's his last World Cup. He's 36 years of age now, so he won't play in the next one. I'm not saying he will, but he could go out with a bang, really, and he's the one to still keep an eye on.
Definitely. And just to mention that Suarez, Cavani, Núñez. Oh, I'm already terrified for this Korean side. But yes, on a more lighter note, is there any areas which you think Korea could exploit?
So if Korea are able to break up this passing that I was telling you about, like Uruguay, they like to pass in triangles. If they're able to break that up and able to stay in position whilst doing it, not really go push too far out, like stay in a stature position, so Uruguay have to think about a plan B or a plan C, then it could leave Uruguay open, because you're leaving Uruguay to make a decision, not Korea to make the decision. Now, their fast-paced attacks is their bread and butter, but you must always realise as well, it's a bit of an Asian side, at the front as well as the back. So, if Korea are playing with pace, they might have longer legs. Not longer legs. Longer legs. That's going to win them the game. The legs might last longer, especially.
We got the team of Kim Shin-ups lives.
But basically, I think especially with we'll come on to the weather obviously later, but given that the climate and the game is such, if Korea are just a little bit fitter than Uruguay, then that could be a huge advantage for them.
Indeed. Well, Michael, I am going to, before we have a break, I am going to push you for a prediction. I'll give mine, but I'm going to let you tell me first what you think, and then I'm probably going to just copy you and blame you later.
You've not put my Twitter handle in here now, so I'll get loads of boos, loads of hate mail. I've got it down as a 2-1 Uruguay win, to be honest. I think, to be honest, Saudi Arabia's put hope in everyone, because if Saudi Arabia can beat Argentina, then anyone can beat anyone. But the strength of the team in the Uruguayan side compared to Korea's one, obviously, Son Heung-min, Kim Min-jae, it's I think they're a cut above Korea, to be honest. So, stranger things have happened in the World Cup, but I'm saying 2-1 to Uruguay.
2-1. I don't really want to go against Korea, but it's hard against all three of these teams to see them getting anything. I do think it'll be narrow. I don't think Uruguay's going to run away with it. So because of this, I'm going to end up saying something similar to you. No, I'm going to say 1-0 to Uruguay, just to be different, just for the sake of it. I'm not even going to give Korea a goal, which sounds very pessimistic of me, but that's just the way I'm going to play it. But yeah, so we've previewed Uruguay there, previewed Korea just before the break. We are going to have a quick break ourselves, and then we're going to come back and, we've got the footballergy match of the round and a quiz, Michael. Get ready. See you in a bit.
Footballogy is a football app like no other. With the handiest tool for football fans on your phone, you can locate any match nearby, no matter where on the planet you are or plan to be. Keep track of all your visited games, collect all kinds of stats, and get badges for achievements like special games and milestone events. The Footballogy app covers more than 80,000 grounds and 1,200 leagues worldwide, including K-League 1 and 2, as well as K3 and K4 and the WK League. Download Footballogy for free today on iPhone or Android. Connect with your friends, and your football life will never be the same again.
Okay, welcome back to the K-League United podcast. And as the advert suggests, yes, we have the Footballogy match of the round. And, well, surprise, surprise, I've gone for the obvious one here, Michael. It's Korea versus Uruguay. It's being played at the Education City Stadium. But this segment could get a little bit repetitive, as that's where all three of Korea's group matches are here, are being played, rather. So, yeah, we may need to get a little bit creative ahead of our next choice. But yeah, this is it for this round. It's a recently built stadium. It's hosted some matches from the 2020 Club World Cup and also the 2020 AFC Champions League bubbles. It's based in Al Rayyan, and Korea are based about 14 kilometers away, or 20 minutes by team bus. Korean side have been to look at the stadium, with Hwang In-bom praising the grass for being more fluffy than the training ground. But Michael, that's enough of what to expect from the stadium. What can they expect from the weather?
Well, the most important part now is here's your weather with Michael Redmond. So,
Yeah.
we obviously, due to the stadium's air conditioning and just the 1,500 vents, the pitch temperature is going to be targeted at 20 to 21 degrees. So, nice, suitable weather and temperature for the players you're playing on. However, for all the Korean fans making the journey over to Qatar, outside, bring your long sleeves and your sun cream, because it's going to be 29 degrees in the day.
Oh.
Now, obviously, those who are in Korea at the moment, especially in Seoul, will know that Korea is a little bit jealous that the World Cup is in Qatar at the moment, because we've had highs of 20 on Saturday and Sunday. I was walking around in a light t-shirt and jumper on Saturdays, and it's the point now where the long padding's still in the wardrobe. It's wondering what's going on, because I've been here for my 6th winter in Korea now, and I've never had a t-shirt in November in Seoul. So to cut a long story short, it's okay in Korea. It's very hot in Qatar.
Yeah, very, very. Yeah, we're still waiting. It's a bit of a warm winter at the moment here, but yeah, the padding will be out soon. And so that's the Footballogy match of the round, and that was your weather with Michael. But Michael is not quite finished yet, and you did say we haven't got the display names on, Michael. Well, I'll put them on here for you, just so people can follow you. That is at BMR Korea. Because Michael, I'm now going to put you in for a quiz. We have a lineup quiz. The quiz is, well, it's some UK viewers will know this is play your cards right, play your Korean squad number cards right. We're going to play higher or low with Korean squad numbers. Now, I should say first, there was going to be 4 of us on this podcast, and I was going to be quizzing 3 of you. It's going to be a very short quiz, Michael, and it's only you who can be embarrassed, or you could really impress. I'm going to give you a game. I'm going to give you a team from that game, and I'm going to give you the starting player and their number. Then I'm going to give you a following player, and you've got to tell me, is their number higher or lower than the preceding player? I'll give you 1 life. No, I'll give you 2 lives, sorry. I'll let you make 1 mistake, but that's it. I want to see how far you can get, and then we'll we'll put Paul under the microscope when he gets back from injury. So, Michael, the game I have chosen for you is the last time Korea played Uruguay. That is the 12th of October. Sorry, I think that's the 10th of December. But either way, it's the 2018. I got the American format date or the British format date. But it was a 2-1 win to Korea.
Right.
I'm going to give you the starting player. I'll give you a nice, easy one. The starting player is Son Heung-min, who is number
7.
Number 7, good. That wasn't part of the quiz. That was just to get us started. So Son Heung-min, number 7, is our starting player. Right, I'm gonna first go through the players in the starting 11. If I run out of players, I will go through the ones on the bench. And if I get through all the players on the bench, Michael, well done. You'll be the ultimate champion. So we're starting off Son Heung-min, number 7. I am going to give you for your follow-up player Hwang Ee-jo. Higher or lower?
Okay. Can I just, before we start as well, can I say that I'm the K-League 2 specialist? The national team has, at this point now, I'm the K-League 2 specialist before I make an absolute mockery of myself.
National team 4 years ago as well, just to make it even more entertaining. But yes, Hwang Ee-jo.
Hwang Ee-jo, I'm going to go higher.
You're right, higher. Hwang Ee-jo was number 18. Next up on your list is Lee-yong. Higher or lower?
Lower.
You're going to go lower? Yes, right down low. He's number 2. Lee-yong. Continuing on, we've got Ki Sung-young. Higher or lower, Michael?
Ki Sung-young, I'm going to go... Oh, Ki Sung-young, higher.
Of course, he's higher. Ki Sung-young was number 16 for that match. So we're going to get a little bit harder. I'm kind of moving about a bit here. Hong Chol. Where do you think Hong Chol came? Higher or lower?
This is tough because we know Hong Chol's a defender, but we know he likes high numbers. Go on, I'm going to say lower.
He was 14. Okay, so you're on 14. Now, I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult now. We're going to keep in defence Kim Yong-gwan, centre back. Higher or lower?
Lower. I have to go low. He's defender.
But he was number 19 back then. So you've lost your 1 life, but you've got 6 so far. You've got 5 more to get the full team. So we're at number 19. I'll go for Hwang Ii-chan. Hwang Ii-chan was in this team. Higher or lower?
I'm going lower for the fact that it's the national team.
You are right. He was number 11 for that match. Continuing on, Nam Tae-hee.
Nam Tae-hee. I'm going to say lower because we've already had a few high numbers already in this lineup.
You are right. He is lower. Okay. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, sorry. You've got 8 so far. 3 more to get the first 11, and we can call that. We can call it at that, or I'll let you go on and see how far you want. So after Nam Tae-hee, I am going to go for Kim Sung-gyu.
Goalkeeper. Lower.
Yes, he was number 1.
See?
I thought you might think, oh, Cho Yun-woo as he or something. I was thinking, oh, I might get you on that one. If I kept it back a bit, but no, yeah. So Kim Sung-gyu, number 1. You're on 9. You need 2 more for the 11. This one's nice and easy for you, I guess. But Jang Hyun-soo.
Oh, higher.
Yeah, I was going to see how long it took. I was going to see how long it took you. I thought he's got to get this. But
I was thinking what position he's played in. That's the reason why, and I was like, yeah, didn't give you an answer.
Well, that may matter now because the final player for the 11, Michael, Jung Woo-young, higher or lower?
What
he's number 20, Jang Hyun-soo.
Oh, we'll go on then. I'll go lower then.
All right, you've got the 11, Michael. You've got the 11. You got your first team. That's in your bank there. You got your 11 points. Would you like to just see how far you could get through the sub bench? I'll make it a bit difficult for you.
Go on then. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's go for. So we're on number 5. I'm going to go for Park Joo-ho.
Let's keep going higher.
You're right. Number 6.
Oh.
Park Joo-ho. Next up is Kim Min-jae. Higher or lower?
Was he at John Book at the time?
Yes, it was at the end of his time at John Book.
I feel like he'd have a low number. as defender.
You're going to go lower?
I'm going to go lower.
He was lower, number 4, even back then. Next up on my list, then let's make it a bit more difficult. Lee Sung-woo was in this team, Michael. Where do you think Lee Sung-woo was?
Well, he'd have a high number, wouldn't he, really? So I'd say higher.
He was higher. Okay. He was number 10. And let's go for Suk Hyun-jun. Now, well, disgraced Suk Hyun-jun, but where did he have a higher number or a lower number at the time?
Go on, I'm going to go higher again.
He was lower. He was number 9. But I can say that you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 is the score to beat. That is not bad going, Michael. And we're going to end it there. Well, maybe I'll test Paul on that in the following weeks.
That
but
completely wasn't a fluke, and I knew every single player.
Yeah, there you go. You outdone yourself. But Michael, if people would like to follow us or follow your quiz knowledge, where can they do so?
Yeah, so if people like to follow us, they can do at K-League United on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and on Instagram. Now, if you'd like to support us, you can do so via our Patreon. That's patreon.com/K-League United. Tiers start as low as $1, but the good stuff, that comes in at free.
Some good stuff indeed, with some additional analysis on there at the moment of the Korean squad. This is in addition to all our work on K-League and KLeagueUnited.com, which includes match previews, interviews, squad opposing squad lists. It includes match recaps, Korean player breakdown, and also this podcast. There is a lot, and we've listed everything in a post titled Guide to South Korea at the 2022 World Cup. You can find that on KLeagueUnited.com. But that's it for us in this short edition of the pod. Well, I say short edition, it was supposed to be 30 minutes, but we've gone on 11 minutes of injury time. Nothing unusual for this World Cup, though, Michael. But yes, from Michael Redmond and myself, Matthew Binns, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
공격 폭격기 김신우